Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Just the other day, John Deaton's crypto law account on social media platform X shared a link to an article written by Rosalind Layton. She's now writing for DC Journal. Now, that name may sound familiar because Rosalind Layton has been along for the entire ride of the SEC v. Ripple case, and she started writing about how nonsensical it was very shortly after the lawsuit was dropped. So it may have been the very beginning part of 2021 when she wrote her first article on the matter, but very consistently she'd share her thoughts and share developments in terms of what's going on to the broader public. And at the time, she was writing for Forbes. So it was certainly hitting a rather massive audience, and I shared every single article when she published one, because she just knocked it out of the park every single time. And I don't know what went down, but there were a couple instances that apparently led to the ruin of her relationship with Forbes. She wrote some certain things about Gary Gensler, and so there was one article, and I can't remember which one it was, but it was taken down, and then the article, I think it was to some degree revised, and then uploaded again. So she's been classy. She's not been divulging what happened behind the scenes that led to that. And then there was a second instance where that happened, and that article was taken down. I don't know if it ever was put back up with any modifications, and then that was the last article ever from her at Forbes. And then she moved over to DC Journal, apparently, and this is just me speculating, perhaps to a platform where she can actually say what she really thinks without, any sort of censorship or guidance, let's say. And so here's the headline from Rosalind Layton. Court brings Gavel down on SEC's war on crypto. Now, I have not read this yet, so I thought it would be fun for us to just experience this for the first time together, because I have never been disappointed by anything that she has ever written on the matter. Straight up bangers, if you ask me. So we're going to run through this. But before going any further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so in we go. On August 8th, Judge Annalisa Torres of the U.S. Southern District of New York issued her judgment on the case brought by the Securities and Exchange Commission against the blockchain payments company Ripple. In her 16-page order, Torres brought the district court's gavel down on the SEC's spectacular failure to expand the administrative state beyond what the law allows. The SEC should read the room and move on. So that's kind of the question now. Are they going to read the room and be like a normal adult who can sense what's going on? Or will they be socially awkward and choose to appeal? I don't know. I haven't placed a wager on that, but I'll not be surprised if they actually do. Anyway, piece continues. From the moment the SEC filed its case against Ripple in December 2020, the breadth and audacity of its legal assault on the company and its two senior executives rightly dubbed it the cryptocurrency trial of the century. The SEC argued that the XRP token, a digital commodity by any definition, was a security, and that all XRP sales between any two parties are investment contracts with Ripple in perpetuity. The lawsuit not only implicated the company and its executives for their XRP sales on public exchanges, but also tens of thousands of retail holders, users and traders of XRP, even if they'd never heard of Ripple and cared nothing about its fortunes. As a way of defaming all blockchain technology as worthless, the SEC claimed that the purpose of a decentralized ledger like XRP and its native asset was to benefit one company and its nefarious executives. And I just got to pause to ask, if that were even true, then why the hell are all sorts of people who don't have any sort of fortune tied to Ripple, why are they building anything on the XRP ledger then? Like, it flies in the face of reason, obviously, and one of the most absurd things, of course, is when you compare this to the Howey case. Just imagine that the orange itself was a security. It's just such a dumbass argument. It's sad that we even had to go through this whole process, ruining an entire bull run and life-changing wealth for so many people. But the good news is, of course, we're in a bull run now, XRP completely free and clear from a legal perspective. But man, this is completely ridiculous. And it's just such a stunning and beautiful defeat. I mean, this is one of those case studies that that is going to be studied for decades and decades to come. It'll be an exercise in learning exactly what not to do. When you let your own ego choose what you're actually word it like this. It's like letting your ego be your own guiding light. That's what the SEC has done here. And Gary Gensler clearly not operating in good faith. I know he's not the one that got the ball rolling on this particular lawsuit, but man, he was happy to see it through. That's for damn sure. He had ambitions of other more glorious things. Lots of speculation about him still seeking actually to be a Treasury Secretary. Would not be surprisingly, and by the way, I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but there's actually evidence to show that he has absolutely been pushing for that position since well before he became SEC chair. So it's not just some sort of wild speculation. Anyway, piece continues though. This is how regulators practice regulation by enforcement, by getting judges to give them authority that the law doesn't provide. In retrospect, it was an easy argument for Ripple's legal defense to dismantle. Even in the first case hearing in March 2021, Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn told the SEC she understood that XRP has a utility, and that's a quote, has a utility. Torres' opinion on the merits of the lawsuit last year concluded that, quote, XRP as a digital token is not in and of itself a contract, transaction, or scheme, end quote, under securities laws. With that, the central argument for the SEC's power play to gain control over all cryptocurrencies failed. So that's very well written, and that's actually, I think this is what Crypto Law highlighted. Well, I know it's a different one. Never mind. Take it back. Either way, that is powerful though. Like it's and it couldn't be more obvious. I mean, certainly it's very clear in hindsight, but so many of you were in the trenches with me. We were there. We lived through this. It was very obvious as we were going through it. It was very clear. Of course, XRP in and of itself is not some sort of security. And so again, as he wrote here, with that, the central argument for the SEC's power play to gain control over all cryptocurrencies failed. There you go. Ripple and the XRP community saved the entire crypto industry. There you go. Piece continues. After analyzing sales by Ripple and its executives, Torres concluded that only a narrow set of XRP sales to institutional investors, in which actual investment contracts existed, were unregistered securities that violated Section 5 of the Securities Act. In the end, it is a registration omission and not some grand criminal enterprise deserving of the hundreds of millions of dollars spent on this case. Torres' judgment once again schooled the SEC on the scope and limits of the laws that govern the agency. She reminded the SEC that there had never been any allegation of fraud in the case and rejected the SEC's demand for disgorgement as there were no victims. And I'll pause to note, that's another thing that was so absurd about this. All the penalties, disgorgement that the SEC was seeking, and they got almost nothing of what they actually wanted, almost $2 billion. It's absurd. Nobody was actually harmed, and we went through all of this. It's just absurd. It's offensive. But anyway, in place of the SEC's $2 billion demand, she ordered Ripple to pay a civil penalty of $125 million, which the company promptly said it would pay in cash from its balance sheet. Indeed, Ripple's business is growing outside the United States since the SEC forced a regulatory cloud over its ability to operate in the country. Regulators in Japan, Singapore, and the United Kingdom have already declared XRP is not a security and have welcomed Ripple to offer cross-border payment solutions to banks in their markets. However, XRP retail holders worldwide felt the sharp end of the SEC's stick when the lawsuit was filed in 2020. The SEC's sweeping legal theory against XRP in the opening shots of the lawsuit crashed the token's value and then locked the wallets of retail holders when public exchanges suspended trading for fear of SEC retaliation. The estimated losses were $15 billion for tens of thousands of retail investors the SEC is supposed to be protecting, despite having been warned about this by former SEC Commissioner Joseph Grundfest just before the lawsuit was filed. In the end, the whole Ripple case was emblematic of the SEC's bumbling failure to produce any results worth having. Agency Chair Gary Gensler doubled down on turning the case against Ripple, which he'd inherited, into a war on an entire industry he was determined to win. Instead, it has tarnished the administration isolated Gensler within his own party from its rising generation of new leaders, and turned him into a political liability in an election year. And that's certainly true. As I've said many times, there is no anti-crypto constituency that like there's no voter block there. There are people that don't like crypto, sure. Is that going to be something that they will be voting about? No, if they don't like it, it's probably because they haven't even looked into it sufficiently to have a reasonable opinion. They just have a gut reaction. Oh, that thing, that internet money, blah, blah, blah. But there is a pro-crypto voter block. That's for damn sure. This is a winning battle for us and a losing battle for the SEC. Anyway, she wraps up by stating Gensler and anyone left at the SEC who cares about the agency's reputation would be wise to spin Torres' final judgment into a victory, take the civil penalty, and move on. Dragging out the war on crypto any longer, particularly after the Supreme Court has made its intentions clear on setting limits for the administrative state, will be a waste of taxpayer dollars and political capital when there isn't much of either left to spend. Golf clap for Rosalind Lane. Another straight up banger. I tell you, she says a way. It's like she doesn't waste words, and but it's powerful. It really gets to it, and it just like as I'm reading this, there's so many things I read where I'm just like, yep, that's a and well deserved bitch smack to the face of the SEC, 100%. Oh, that's good. So it's nice to see how she capped off this whole thing in the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. Now, of course, if there are more developments, if there's appeals, I would anticipate she'll write more on this, in which case I'll be happy to highlight this, because she's just been, and she's done an incredible job and been with the XRP community in covering this for the entire time. I don't even know if she owns XRP. Probably not. But she's recognized the ridiculousness of this, and so I appreciate it, which is why I've covered every single article on my channel that she's ever written, ever since the lawsuit dropped. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.